Ladies and gentlemen, meine Damen und Herren, I want to tell you that this has been the craziest 5 days I have ever experienced. I wanted to post this podcast on Sunday morning. Everything was fine. Internet was fine. All the pathways to get this show from me to you were wide open. And then all heck broke loose. And, well, a company that I work for got hit by 2 cyber attacks within the span of 1 week, which only goes to show that none of you are safe. I'm not safe. I'm posting this actually through my internet at home because there's absolutely no way to do that, to access the internet through my work. And so all I'm saying to you is be very, very careful with what you do on the internet, with what you allow to be seen to your internet. Do updates. When Windows says we got to do updates, do them. Do them, because, oh my gosh, it's been a heckish week. Well, that being said, let's get to the podcast that should have been posted on Sunday. I will try and bring you a brand new podcast as soon as I am able and as soon as, well, I'm sane. Even though there's a bunch of insanity that goes into this podcast, I would like to be somewhat sane or somewhat pulled together or somewhat in the creative space. Lately, it's been react, and I hate that. It's not the way I like to live my life. So once that's done, we'll get back to the Mike's Daily Podcast as they should be sent to you. With that being said, on with the show. Cafe Anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
So good that you have joined me today here in PodCastro Valley, the last place on earth, and the show called Mike's Daily Podcast. Well, how are you? We are having a wonderful day in Castro Valley. It was a little bit hot. My name's Sally. I didn't come up with lyrics for this song. I'm unprepared. This podcast isn't fair because it came to me that I had to do this podcast at 7:15. Mike's Daily Podcast. On a Sunday morning, and you are sleeping in, I betcha. No, there's sometimes I wish I didn't have to sleep in. Podcast. Because I don't like the fact that you wake up and a day is gone and you're like, what have I done with my day? I've done nothing. Hey, 49 more people downloaded this podcast. Actually, we had 49 downloads on Spreaker. That's 2 more people. Wow. That's awesome. Hey, I want to tell you that we are having some interesting times at my job. Yes. There was a little bit of hacking going on. Actually, the corporation that owns us had an issue, which is causing some problems with my job. But it's fascinating to me that you got to be careful in today's world. Really careful. Change your passwords. Be clever with them. Don't make them easy to guess. And do not click on any email that you don't know who it came from. If it looks anything suspicious, if the grammar is awful, if they forgot to capitalize words that everybody should capitalize, just do not open it. Spam it, put it in the spam folder immediately, delete it, get rid of it. It's evil.
And here's today's podcast picture.
It's caused something like 3 days worth of work, maybe even 4 or 5 or more days of work for the IT department at my company. Just letting you know. The podcast picture today is going to be exciting, and I'll tell you about it in a moment. But first, one thing more annoying than motorcyclists. Oh, you motorcyclists. Why? I don't understand. You have that much... You like big, loud bam noises. Bum, 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 bum. That's your whole... Oh, that's you. That makes you happy, huh? Oh, Basil Basil didn't like motorcycles. He barked at them. He's like, what the heck? So loud. It scared me. Why? Why are you so loud, stupid vehicle? Gas guzzling, crazy vehicle. Wakes me up in the middle of the night. And you make sure to do this right when you're by my house. So as I was saying, as I was starting off that sentence, the only thing more annoying than motorcyclists are people, well, let's see, put it this way, motorcyclists that smoke while they're riding their motorcycles in front of you. But actually the same can be said for the people in cars that are sitting in front of you at the stoplight, that are smoking away with their windows rolled down and all that. And you want your windows rolled down because it's a beautiful California day and that smoke is wafting into your car. Thank you for a person who doesn't care about anybody else's well-being. Thank you. I enjoy that. The other thing that's really annoying is dog park people. We just heard Basil, who I took to dog parks many a time. This was in his heyday, this park, when he was young. And you know what? It's interesting because when Basil's back legs went out, I got a harness for him and I took him to the dog park in PodCastro Valley. And there'd be some people that would look at me like, oh my gosh, how can you do that to your dog? And meanwhile, Basil's dragging me. He's like, I want to go. I want to walk. Thanks, Mike, for helping me walk. And I'm right behind him. And then people giving me that look like, oh, how could you do that? How could you make me feel guilty that I don't even take my dog on a proper walk? I take him to the stupid dog park and basically tell him, walk yourself. I'm just going to sit here and read the paper or look at my phone. And nobody at the dog park talks to each other. It's what I've noticed. There are some people that are friendly. Hey, what's your name? What's your dog's name? But for the most part, wow. I have not seen friendly people at dog parks. They've been the opposite. The dogs are friendlier than the people at dog parks. That's what I've seen. This is one of the other reasons why I do not want to get a dog again. That, and I lived, well, from Basil's entire life to the end of his life not too long ago on 7/17, which, by the way, I don't like sevens anymore. Yes, 7 is a lucky number, 7's God's number and all that, but not a good number for me. And this whole virus outbreak happened on a day with a 7 in the date. So just not liking the number 7 these days. But yeah, so it was a lot of work having a dog, to be a proper dog owner, to walk your dog every day. And it's the dog people aren't the nicest. And I remember I talked about this on a podcast years ago. Basil would attract the bad element. I would get weird people coming up to me and talking to me. Really strange. Odd, in fact. A little bit on the... What is going on there?
Are you out of your mind?
Uh-huh.
What is the matter with you?
That's what I wanted to ask him.
Something must be wrong with you.
And yeah, odd folks coming out. Oh, is that your doggy? Oh, what's his name? Hey, can I borrow a cigarette so I can smoke it on my motorcycle? I'm so excited today to bring you this video on Mike's Daily Podcast, the website, youtube.com/MikesDailyPodcast. Look at this. Look at this wonderful video. Isn't this great? This applause is for you. Or is it a moth? I don't know what it is. Something making noise. You can see that video at youtube.com/MikesDailyPodcast. Okay, we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in PodCastro Valley, Mont today. The last place on earth. Not a fan of dog people. Real quick. When I grew up, I grew up in Southern California, grew up in the San Fernando Valley, actually moved to Ventura County as a teenager, finished out my high school years at a place called Santa Clara High School, in Oxnard, California, a Catholic school. Had priests and nuns and brothers running around teaching us. And there was a station. So I then went to UCSB, UC Santa Barbara. I met Sean Hannity. I had to tell someone this story the other day that I met Sean Hannity back when he first got into radio. He was not a student at UC Santa Barbara, but he somehow was able to, I guess, KCSB, the UCSB radio station, would allow people who were not students to have a show. I don't know how you went about doing that, but I think he enrolled in maybe one class. So they gave him a show. He had never been on radio before. I think he was a painter or a construction guy at something. And I was doing a show called The Public Mic, where I would go out and interview people in Isla Vista, the little college town next to UCSB. And on KCSB, they started you off on the AM station, and then you moved over to the FM station. So the AM station was only heard in the dorms. And I had no friends in the dorm, so there's no tapes, no recollection of this show. But when I was done with the show, this guy comes in, and it's Sean Hannity. And he's super thin. He's never done radio before. He asked me a couple questions about radio. At this point, I was actually well more seasoned than him because I was working at a top 40 station in Santa Barbara called Y97, KHTY, which sadly I looked that up the other day, tried to find it in a search engine. Nothing, no trace of it whatsoever, unfortunately. But it existed for about 5 years. Top 40 station. It actually went rock 40 for a while, where they dropped all dance music and went with only music that had kind of a rock element to it. And at that point, Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, they were really big. And what was that? Oh, Bad English. That was parts of Journey and the guy from The Babies, John Waite. So I met Sean Hannity way back there at UCSB. And then bizarrely, he got fired from KCSB, from the college station. He was told to leave because he said some things about the gay community that were not very kind. And they let him go. And he got a job in Huntsville, Alabama. And something like 20 years later, I ended up in Huntsville, Alabama, at the same station. Well, not the station that he was at, but that station was in the same building as I. But from there, he ended up in Atlanta. Okay, all that to say that growing up in the Ventura County area after San Fernando Valley and after going to Santa Barbara, I worked at some stations in Ventura County. K-Hay, The Bus. There was a station called The Bus. B95.1, which was also KBBY. And then, there was a station in Thousand Oaks called KNJO. But there was also a station that just got started around the time I got started in radio, working full-time in the early 90s. In Thousand Oaks, there was another station called KCLU, and it was the college station for Cal Lutheran University, which later became Cal State Lutheran University. But they had this radio station called KCLU, and after a couple of years, I think into the mid-90s maybe, they started carrying National Public Radio. And nobody really knew that station. I used to listen to it when I lived in Ventura County through the 90s, the O's. Then I left in 2007 to go to Alabama and the Huntsville station I mentioned. But KCLU is the number one station now in Ventura County. And this is in a market where the number one station was always a Spanish-speaking station, was always that Radio Láser. That's my worst Spanish accent ever. Radio Laser is what it was. And it was huge, the station. And I remember at the country station, K-Hay, we could never beat it. I think K-Hay used to be the number one station before Radio Láser came along. Anyway, and then QN05, or what's QN047, and I don't know what it is now, but it was like the hip-hop station, the dance music station. It was number one for a long time. And then the company I worked for tried everything they could to try and beat them. They came up with their own sort of hip-hop station called Hip Hop y Mas. They tried to go Spanish with the hip-hop. That was when that Gasolina song was really big. And they called that The Vibe. But now it blows my mind that KCLU, this NPR station that started way back when, is now number one. And partly the reason why is because of the new way that people rate people that listen to radio. Way back in the dark ages, not too long ago, the way you were able to sample and survey and find out what people listened to was you basically sent them a book. And people filled out the book and they said, okay, I listened to this station this day and this station this day. And they would, for the average person who's so busy with life and kids and everything and school and whatnot, they would just write down whatever call letters or whatever radio station name immediately sprung to mind. So it was like Coke. People can't think of any soft drink name except for Coke. So they'd write Coke. They'd write whatever the most famous station is. But now there's this thing called, it's like I think, what's the rating company now? It's Nielsen or something. They have you wear a device that listens to whatever station you're listening to. And it's an honest way of, that blows my mind people wear that. People with such privacy concerns. Oh, is Google looking at my email? Is Gmail are they looking at everything I have in my Gmail? The privacy concerns that we have in today's world, it's amazing. But so they have this device that listens in to everything that you're doing, and when it hears a radio station, it identifies it, and it goes, okay, Mike was listening to blah, blah, blah. And apparently people are listening to KCLU, and now they've got an honest survey of it, an honest tracking. So it's the contact tracing of radio, basically. And in San Francisco, the same thing happened. For years, it was KGO, this AM talk station. Well, that immediately changed as soon as they put these devices on people, and people found out, oh, they're listening to NPR, KQED. Which, by the way, NPR did a very interesting story today about how there are a lot of it's not nursing homes. It's senior citizen living, senior living, those type of places. They are basically turning a lot of them into COVID-19 nursing homes. And then taking the people that are okay, that are healthy, and at those nursing homes and moving them across town to other nursing homes. Well, that's ending up killing people because these senior citizens that are used to the nursing homes that they're in are suddenly thrown into a completely new situation that they got to deal with. And at that age and with their health issues and all that, they're told to, you got to deal with this now. And part of the reason why these nursing homes are turning some of their facilities into COVID-19 nursing homes is because they get money from Medicaid or CARE or CAID or something. So that's a terrible thing. But I found that out on NPR, and I want to thank Ina Jaffe for that. So I'll plug NPR and then slug them and say, they get all that money from our taxes, and sometimes their stories are not the most honest. But okay, I gotta get running away here because there's things to do, and I'll tell you what the podcast picture is in a moment. But first, let's say hi to these people outside.
Hello, my friends. It's Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. Oh my gosh, I never knew that Sean Hannity worked with you.
Yeah, way back when. Now he's super rich. He's got a huge empire, and I'm not jealous or anything.
Of course not, Mike Matthews.
Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, what's this a picture of? Oh, it's a place called Filola. Fight, Love, Live. Filolai. It's a like a famous outdoor garden area that's about 100 years old in the Bay Area. My lovely lady friend went there a week ago, so I'll post a picture from that. It's very nice, and you can tell me what you think about any of the topics we covered today. 336MM Daily, 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM is in Mike Matthews. Daily is in what this podcast tries to be every day. Hey, here's A-Frame. Oh, and that was episode 2106,
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MikesDailyPodcast.com. Email Mike now at MikesDailyPodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!